Paul Steinke, and I'm standing on the 4600 block of Larchwood Avenue on a warm and humid June morning, and I'm happy to give you all a tour of my home. I've lived here since June of 1998 with my husband, David Oddie, who is an architect with a practice based in Center City. And I've been an annual member of University City Historical Society just about every year since 2001. So, welcome, and let's get started. So here's the house. It was built in 1921. It was part of the Garden Court development that extended from Pine to Larchwood, 46th to 49th. It's a twin, so there's our neighbor's house. And the design of the house stands in contrast with the heavy Victorian architecture of the surrounding neighborhood. It has more windows, lower ceilings, plenty of light and air. And most importantly, it has accommodations for the automobile, which was growing in popularity in the 1920s, including a rear alley and attached garage in each house. We'll see that at the end of the tour. The first family to own the house was that of Dr. Isidore Rabden, a renowned surgeon at the Hospital of the University of Pennsylvania, for whom a section of the current hospital is named the Rabden Pavilion. So let's go inside, have a look around. This is the sun porch. People sometimes call them glass box porches. It's one of the distinctive features of these houses. And originally, all these windows would come out and you could put screens in and make it screened in the summertime. We've only done that with this one screen here that we found in the basement and restored, and we put it in that door. But when we open the outside door on this side, there are also screens there. So it does give us an approximation of the original intent. There's also a covered porch. There's open air right here towards the center of the house. And there's our neighbors. And it looks out over the front garden. Okay. Now, interestingly, I mentioned the first family. We also believe that Philadelphia Museum of Art President Fisk Kimball, who oversaw the construction of the current building, was a friend of the Rabden families and stayed here with them at one point when he was going through some difficulties in his life, probably in the 20s or 30s. And then from 1948 into the mid-1990s, the Schwartz family lived here. And there's an S on the front step, which I can show you, that was put in. You can sort of see it down there. Not for Steinke, it's for Schwartz. For the Schwartz family, who was here for over 40 years. So let's leave the sun porch and go into the living room. And I want to point out, I'm a collector of antique radios. And so we have that on some built-in shelves here. There's leaded glass windows that look towards the side. Again, this is the living room. And on the walls here, we have a number of images, artwork, that depict trips that David and I have made together over the years. There's a fireplace, which does work. And here's another antique radio. As I said, we moved here in 1998, and this was the first house that was renovated by the University of Pennsylvania as part of their West Philadelphia Improvement Initiative under President Judith Rodin. They would buy houses that were kind of decaying, needed work, restore them, and put them back into service. And we bought the property from the university in 98. So let's go into the dining room. So You can see the dining room table and chairs and the sideboards, some old radios, of course. The furniture in here we got shortly after we moved in at an auction at Freeman's Auction House. So, and David got these at an art auction at Rittenhouse Square. Everyone always admires these when they're in the house. So now into the kitchen. The kitchen we did a lot of work on when we moved in. The kitchen ended sort of back here where you see the TV and went out to like a mud room and then into the backyard. So we wanted space to have meals. So we put in this small dining table with banquette seating. The dining table is made from a piece of butcher block that we salvaged from someone's trash nearby. And it sits on the base of an ice cream parlor table. And the chair is an office chair that we got from the used furniture store at 46th and Baltimore. It's still there. We just recovered it. It's sort of a piece of mismatched furniture, but it gets the job done. And then David, with his father, restored this cabinet that was just moldering away in the basement, and they installed it back in what we believe its original location on the wall by the basement door. Okay, so let's go upstairs. We did re-expose this back stair when we moved in. It was covered over with drywall on both sides, and we suspected there was a stair there. There was a refrigerator blocking it, so we pulled that away. We tested it, saw there was an opening to stairs, so we had the stairs reopened. And the idea behind these stairs, we understand, is it enabled day help who would help come in and work with the family, cook meals, do laundry, to go back and forth from the basement to the kitchen and up to the upper floors without disturbing the family in the living room. So going upstairs. Here's what we use as our family room or TV room, and has 4 big windows facing out to Larchwood Avenue and a window off to the side. Would point out this model. You sharp-eyed viewers may have seen this earlier a moment ago. This is a model of the Fisher Fine Arts Library at the University of Pennsylvania that my husband David made himself while he was an undergraduate there. And we give that pride of place on this beautiful table that his mother gave him. It's from his family. So into the hall, and I'll pause here at a couple of images we have on the wall. This is a newspaper ad for the Garden Court development that I discovered on microfilm at the Free Library some years ago. Made a copy, had it framed. And here's another one. You see they're called Siegel's Artistic Homes. And a third one. So we have these in our hallway to remind us of the history of the house and neighborhood. And one of the things that one could do, we understand, when you bought one of these houses was you could customize certain things. So these built-in shelves are in this room, and this is my office. Paneling could also be customized, and we've been at other houses on the block where these features appear in other rooms of the house. So here's my office. That desk, beautiful wooden desk, was also salvaged from the trash nearby. And David and his late father restored it, and it's been here ever since. So there's a doorway that passes from this room into the master bedroom. We used this as the TV room for the first, 15 years or so that we lived here. But we'd long thought that this room was really intended to be the master bedroom because It has these high windows for privacy. It's at the back of the house for quiet, and it originally had this doorway into the second floor bath, which would make sense if this is the bedroom. That door no longer leads anywhere. It's got some plumbing in there that was closed off some years ago. We haven't reopened it. So we use this as the master bedroom. Go back out into the hallway, into the second floor bath, and you can see we now have a shower stall in here. We renovated this bathroom in about 2010. It used to have a kind of salmon-colored tile with a brown, almost bronze accent to it. It was kind of interesting, but it was falling apart, and we decided to renovate instead. And when you're married to an architect, the design services come for free, and of course he's very good. Have some images of some Philadelphia scenes on the wall there. Okay, now we're going to go to the third floor, and if you take note, there's this beautiful oak flooring on the first and second floors, including the stairs. But when we get to the third floor, and yes, there's another old radio, the flooring goes to a pine flooring, which is not uncommon in houses to have the nicer wood on the public floors and a lesser wood on the top floor where the public or guests would not normally go. Here we have the guest room, and you can see the contours of the ceiling made by the front gable. 3 windows on the front, 1 window on the side. Into the third floor hall. And mostly David, has made this into a workout room, as well equipped pretty much as any gym would be. In fact, I had my Zoom workout in here this morning, but I have to give David credit for making this happen. And then the third floor rear is his home office and studio. And like me, he's been working here remotely ever since the shutdown began. And there, of course, we have one of his heroes, Frank Lloyd Wright. But this room gets wonderful light on the third floor to the west and to the north, and is a comfortable place for him to get his work done. And then this is the third floor bath, which is David's bathroom. This one is largely the way we found it. We put a new floor in, but kept the probably 1940s or 50s tile in this bathroom, and it works perfectly fine. So, 3 rooms per floor. Living room, dining room, kitchen on the first floor. 3 rooms on the second floor. 3 rooms on the third floor. Pretty simple layout. And now I'm going to go back down these stairs and take you out to the backyard, which is another nice feature of this house, and talk about some of the original design intent of the garden court design. Garden court was created by a developer named Clarence Siegel, who had been active in the West Philadelphia community, building mostly twin homes for at least 15 or 20 years before he built Garden Court. But by the time he purchased the property where this development sits, the automobile was coming into vogue, and prospective home buyers were looking for a place to store their cars. So I'll get to that again in a moment, but here we are now in the backyard. We built this deck in 1999, so a year after we moved in. And beginning to show its age a little bit, but it's still quite serviceable. And then it leads down a few stairs into the rear of the yard. We have set up with a handful of Adirondack chairs, quite comfortable. This is where you'll find me reading my Sunday paper most weekends. We of course have the obligatory gas grill, and I'll show you a view of the deck back up towards the house. Those are the dining room windows with the leaded glass. We planted a dogwood tree in honor of one of our former pets. And then the house and all the houses in the Garden Court development have a garage. And there's our garage, there's the neighbor's garage. Now think about this. This is 1921. Automobile ownership is skyrocketing in America. Most of the houses built around us are 20 or 30 years older. And they didn't have places to store cars except in the street. So Clarence Siegel had the idea, let's put a rear alley, and that's accessible by all the houses, and give each of the houses a garage so that his home buyers would have a place to store their Fords or their Oldsmobiles or their Studebakers. And it made Garden Court quite innovative in that way, and developed a pattern that was followed in the development of other neighborhoods in the city, including in the Northeast, where the rear alley and attached garage is a feature of many twins and row houses. So that concludes the tour here in the backyard. I have a little trellis with beautiful climbing hydrangea in bloom. David is really talented when it comes to plantings and landscaping, so I'll give him credit for that too. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for joining me for a tour of our home. Bye.